Okay, so let's just very quickly submit this project. And I'm going to add an overlay layer just to show you how to do that. So what I'm going to do is take my creature layer, this guy, I have a lot of them, and over the top of him, I'm going to make a new blank layer using my little post-it note thing. And I'm going to label it overlay layer. I like to do it all in capitals. And this is not a texture fill. This is a layer that we fill with 50% gray at 100% opacity. And then we set it. See how it's going to affect my creature and everything in the background there, because that's where my creature is. And then we set it from normal mode to overlay mode. And what that does is it makes it see completely through my 50% gray. But if I dodge and burn on that layer, it will dodge and burn everything underneath it without impacting those pixels directly. So if I wanted to further darken my creature by burning him down, I can do that. And I like how he's kind of backlit. Now, what that looks like on the overlay layer, if I make it normal, is like that. And if I take off the texture overlays, you can see where I burned. So when I ask you to submit it, I want you to put your creature on top of the overlay layer and then turn off everything else. Now, typically on an overlay layer, you would have a shadow underneath. So I have a lot here that's not showing. So let me show you how this overlay layer works. Where's that driftwood? There it is. All right. So if I wanted, you see there's my burning there. So if I wanted to show a shadow under my creature, I would simply burn on this overlay layer with the burn tool. And that gives me a shadow. If I push that overlay layer over the top of my creature, come on, then those shadows will also go on top of my creature. Like that. Okay? So now I'm going to turn on all my components. And I'm going to set that overlay layer, turn it on, and turn on the background behind it. I have a lot of components now. Right? And then that's my final composite. So how do you turn it in? So these are the things I want you to turn in. I want you to turn in a JPEG of assignment 3, the placement you want. Of course, always save it as a PSD first. And then we're going to save it as a JPEG, and we want it to be no more than 5 megabytes. Nope, and then I'm going to show you how to save it so you can actually see what the overlay looks like. Because in special effects, that's how you show what additions you've made to the background to accommodate for your creature. Okay, so now I'm going to say File, Save As, a JPEG to the desktop of assignment 3. Notice that my project is 2.39 gigabytes. 2.39 gigabytes. So I need it as a JPEG so I can make it a whole lot smaller. And I don't want it to be larger than 5 megabytes. So I'm going to go to quality 7 here. So it's fewer than 5 megabytes, or maybe 8. Yes, 8. Okay, then that's the thing I'm going to be grading. But so that I don't need to flip back to your assignment 1 and try to figure out how you dodged and burned it or how you played with texture overlays, the next thing I want you to do is to take your overlay layer and convert it to normal mode. All right? Just by clicking on your overlay layer and changing it from overlay to normal. Right? You will see the smudges and the burns you do. And then I'd like you to put your creature, if it's not already, on the top of it. On the top of your overlay layer. Okay? And then save that. Well, you're going to save it just as a JPEG, not as the PSD. And so if I really wanted to show it off, I'm going to turn off everything else besides my creature and the overlay, just like that. And then say File, Save As, and then I'll call this overlay to the desktop as a JPEG. So I have 2 different placements I'm saving, so I'm going to submit 4 different files. Into the computer or into Photobucket?
Into the computer.
Yeah, just use those.
I tried, but it didn't work.
So now that I've saved this overlay layer, which helps me see how you adapted your creature and your setting, you don't need to save it again. You can just turn it off and not save, and then it will save your PSD from when you submitted it the first time. Okay, then we're going to turn this off. And then because I'm getting a lot of questions about Photobucket and what happens if you upload it wrong or if it's not uploading correctly, let's see if we can get Photobucket to work for us here. We always use Chrome, and it should already be logged in for us if we use Chrome. And we can only upload JPEGs, right? Or PNGs, online file formats. So I have 4, because I have 2 different placements I did. Because if all of your components are nicely cut out and you understand layers, you can composite pretty quickly. So Photobucket can be slow when everyone's uploading at once. But I'm going to go to Library. And I'm going to navigate to Assignment 3. I'll refer you to past videos, but you don't want to save this over Assignment 1. No, you save it as Assignment 3. So you're making something new. Yep. So you are not going to hurt the integrity of your first assignment. All right, so let me upload these. And we label them in the usual way. And you can see I have overlay layers for most of these, just to show the special effects used. And when we do this critique, it's a little different because we're actually looking at 3 assignments worth of work sometimes, right? So when I go in, this was placement 1, my little Godzilla placement. I start it with FA17, Carl 1. I go to the next one, FA17, Carl 2. And then because I did multiple placements, this one's going to be FA17, Carl 3, and FA17, Carl 4. And some of you are getting creative with how you're labeling it. Please do not, because I just go in and change it to this system so that they all line up. So just your first name, capital FA174. You don't need any assignment description. You just need to make sure it's in the right folder. And then it will organize all by title. So here's a little 8-bit version of myself I did in a past semester. You can see its overlay layer, right? And then you can see it in its setting. That's all we're asking for here. And then when we critique it, we're able to kind of critique the believability of everything. On and on and on. Okay, let's do it.